It is 2 o'clock in the morning. You are standing in the bathroom for the third time tonight. The stream starts, then stops, then it starts again. Weak, hesitant, like your body is fighting itself. You flush, you go back to bed, and you tell yourself the same thing you have been telling yourself in that bathroom. That is not aging. That is a warning. And if your body has been sending you that warning for the past several months, the clock has already started. Because 1 year before the prostate reaches a point of serious crisis, what doctors call acute urinary retention, where the flow stops almost completely, your body whispers. It does not shout. It does not send you a letter. It whispers, in ways most men completely miss, in ways that feel so ordinary, so easy to dismiss, that millions of men wave them off every single day. And by the time they cannot ignore it anymore, the damage is already deep. Today, I am going to show you exactly what those whispers sound like. 3 specific signs your body sends you in the 12 months before serious prostate trouble sets in. And more importantly, I am going to show you what you can do right now, today, to turn this around before it goes any further. I want you to think about your life for a moment. Not the big dramatic moments, the quiet ones. The moment you stood up from the dinner table and felt that sudden, urgent pressure and had to walk quickly to the bathroom. The moment you were on a long car ride and started calculating how far the next rest stop was. Not because you wanted to stop, but because you were not sure you could wait. The moment you woke up and realized you had been to the bathroom twice before sunrise, and you had not even thought much of it. These moments feel small. They feel manageable. You work around them. You drink a little less water before bed. You choose the aisle seat. You learn the location of every public restroom within a half-mile radius. But here is the truth no one is saying out loud. Those adjustments, those small, quiet workarounds, are not coping strategies. They are evidence. They are your body's way of telling you that something inside is growing, tightening, and slowly closing off. And the longer those signals go unaddressed, the smaller that window of easy intervention becomes. The prostate does not lock up overnight. It does it slowly, quietly, over months and years. And the men who catch it early, the men who recognize the signs when they are still subtle, are the men who avoid the emergency room visit, the catheter, the surgery. You can be one of those men. But only if you know what to look for. My name is Dr. Norris. I have spent the last 23 years working exclusively in men's urological health. I have sat across from thousands of men in my clinic, men in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and beyond. And I have heard the same story repeated so many times, it breaks my heart every time. I noticed something was off about a year ago. I just thought it was nothing. It was never nothing. It was always something. And in almost every case, that something was catchable. It was addressable. If only they had known what they were looking at. That is why I am making this video. Because what I am about to share with you is not complicated. It does not require a lab test or a doctor's visit to recognize. These are signs you can identify yourself, sitting in your own home, today. And recognizing them could be the most important thing you do for your health this year. Here is what we are going to cover. I am going to walk you through 3 specific signs your body sends you in the 12 months before serious prostate trouble. Sign number 2 is the one almost every man misses completely, because it has nothing to do with urination. Most men never connect it to their prostate at all. And sign number 3. I am going to share something that happened with a patient of mine that completely changed how I explain this to men. You will not forget it. Stay with me through all 3, because the third sign, combined with what I am going to tell you at the end of this video, gives you a clear, actionable path forward starting tonight. Before we go further, I want to ask you something. Drop your age in the comments right now. Just your age, nothing else. Because the urgency of these signs, and what I recommend you do about them, is different depending on whether you are 55, 65, or 75. I read every single comment personally, and your answer shapes what I address in future videos. And if any of these signs I am about to describe sound familiar, if you recognize yourself in what I am describing, add the word familiar after your age. That one word tells me everything I need to know about where you are right now. Sign number 1. The stream that stops and starts. Let me describe something, and I want you to tell me, even just to yourself, whether this sounds familiar. You go to the bathroom. You stand there. And there is a delay, sometimes 2 seconds, sometimes 10, before anything happens. Then the flow comes. But it is not what it used to be. It is thinner. It is weaker. And sometimes, partway through, it slows down or stops entirely, then picks back up again. And when you think you are finished and you step away, there is a dribble. A few more drops you did not expect. Most men experience this and think, my bladder is just getting older. Here is what is actually happening. Your prostate sits directly beneath your bladder, wrapped around the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of your body. When the prostate begins to enlarge, which it does in the vast majority of men after 50, it squeezes that tube from the outside. Think of it like pressing your thumb down on a garden hose. The water still comes through, but the pressure changes. The flow weakens. It becomes unpredictable. That interruption you feel, that stop-start pattern, is your urethra fighting against the pressure of a prostate that is slowly tightening around it. Now here is the critical part. In the early stages, this is mild. You barely notice it. Maybe the stream is a little slower than it used to be. Maybe you have to wait a moment longer. This is the window. This is when intervention is easiest and most effective. But when men ignore this sign for 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, the prostate continues to grow. The compression increases. And eventually the body reaches a breaking point where the flow does not just weaken. It stops. That is called acute urinary retention, and it is one of the most painful urological emergencies a man can experience. I had a patient, 67 years old, retired engineer, fit man, careful about his health. He had noticed the slow stream for about 14 months. He mentioned it to his wife once. She told him to bring it up at his next physical. He kept meaning to. He never did. He ended up in the emergency room on a Tuesday evening, unable to urinate at all. He needed a catheter inserted immediately. He was in tears, not from pain alone, but from the shock of it. He kept saying, "I had no idea it could get this bad this fast." It did not get bad fast. It had been building for over a year. He just had not known what he was looking at. If the stream you experience today is weaker, slower, or more interrupted than it was 12 months ago, that is sign number 1. And your body is asking you to pay attention. Sign number 2. Waking up more than once to urinate and blaming everything except the prostate. This is the sign almost no man connects to his prostate. And I understand why. Because when you wake up at night to use the bathroom, the natural assumption is that you drank too much water before bed, or that you are sleeping more lightly than you used to, or that it is just something that happens when you get older. And so men cut back on evening fluids. They stop drinking after 7 p.m. They try melatonin. They try white noise machines. They try everything except looking at the actual source of the problem. Here is the mechanism, explained plainly. When your prostate enlarges and begins to compress the urethra, your bladder has to work harder to push urine through that narrowed passage. Over time, the bladder muscle, called the detrusor, becomes overworked. It thickens. It becomes hypersensitive. And a hypersensitive bladder does something very specific. It starts sending urgent signals to your brain at much lower volumes of urine than it should. A healthy bladder can comfortably hold around 400 to 500 milliliters of urine before signaling urgency. An irritated, overworked bladder, one that has been straining against an enlarged prostate for months, might start signaling urgency at 150 milliliters, less than half of what it should. This is why you wake up at 2 a.m., not because your bladder is full, but because your bladder has become so reactive that even a moderate amount of urine feels urgent and uncomfortable. The medical term for this nighttime urination pattern is nocturia, and waking up more than once per night to urinate is not normal. It is not simply aging. It is a sign that something upstream, specifically your prostate, is creating pressure that your bladder is reacting to around the clock, even while you sleep. The reason this sign is so dangerous is not just the sleep disruption, though that is serious on its own. Chronic sleep fragmentation raises cortisol, increases inflammation, worsens cardiovascular health, and, critically, accelerates the hormonal imbalances that drive prostate growth in the first place. It becomes a cycle. The prostate disrupts sleep. The disrupted sleep worsens the prostate. And the man in the middle of that cycle just keeps cutting back on water and wondering why he is always tired. A 71-year-old patient of mine, a former high school coach, came to me convinced he had a sleep disorder. He had been waking up 2 to 3 times every night for 8 months. His wife had moved to the guest room because of how often he was getting up. He had tried 3 different sleep aids. None of them worked. When I examined him, his prostate was significantly enlarged. We addressed the prostate. Within 6 weeks, he was waking up once per night at most. His wife moved back into the bedroom. He told me it was the single biggest quality of life improvement he had experienced in years. He had not had a sleep disorder. He had had a prostate problem that nobody had looked for. If you are waking up more than once per night to urinate, and you have been doing so for more than a few weeks, that is sign number 2. And it deserves your full attention. We have covered 2 of the 3 signs. And if either of those sounded familiar, I need you to stay with me for sign number 3, because this is the one that surprises men the most. It is a sign that has nothing to do with the bathroom at all. And it is the one that, in my 23 years of practice, I have found to be the most reliable early predictor of serious prostate trouble ahead. Do not go anywhere. And before we get there, If this video is giving you clarity, if it is answering questions you have been carrying around for months, please take 5 seconds right now and click that subscribe button. Every week I release evidence-based guidance built specifically for men over 50 who want to take genuine control of their health. You are joining a community of men who are done guessing and ready for real answers. Subscribe now, and you will not miss what is coming. Sign number 3. A drop in energy, drive, and vitality that you have been blaming on age. I told you this one would surprise you. And I meant it. When most men think about prostate health, they think about the bathroom. Urgency, frequency, flow. That is the conversation they expect to have. What they do not expect is for their doctor to connect their prostate to how flat and tired they have been feeling. To the fact that they used to wake up with energy, and now they wake up already depleted. To the fact that their motivation for exercise, for hobbies, for intimacy has quietly faded over the past year. Here is the connection, and it is important. The same hormonal environment that drives prostate enlargement also affects energy, mood, and vitality. Specifically, we are talking about the relationship between testosterone and a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. As men age, an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase becomes more active. This enzyme converts testosterone into DHT, and DHT, in elevated concentrations, is one of the primary drivers of prostate cell growth. The more DHT accumulates in prostate tissue, the faster the gland grows. But here is what most men are never told. Elevated 5-alpha reductase activity does not just affect the prostate. It also means that more of your available testosterone is being converted, leaving less free testosterone circulating in your body. And free testosterone is what drives energy, motivation, mental sharpness, physical strength, and libido. So the man who is experiencing a slow urine stream and waking up twice a night is very often also the man who has noticed that his energy is not what it was, that he feels older than he should, that the drive and vitality that used to feel effortless now feels like something he has to manufacture. These are not separate problems. They are the same hormonal imbalance expressing itself in different parts of the body at the same time. I want to tell you about a patient I will never forget. He was 64 years old. He came to me because his wife had essentially made the appointment for him. She told him something was wrong. He disagreed. He said he was fine, just tired, just getting older. When I sat with him and asked him to walk me through his last 12 months, the picture became very clear, very quickly. Slow stream for about 10 months, waking up once or twice a night for the past 8 months. And when I pressed him, a gradual but unmistakable fading of energy, drive, and interest in the things that used to matter to him. He had stopped going to his weekly golf game. He had declined 2 fishing trips with his son. He was going to bed earlier and still waking up exhausted. He had attributed every single one of those changes to age. To stress. To life. None of it was age. All of it was connected. And all of it was addressable. Within 4 months of targeted intervention, dietary changes, specific supplementation, and lifestyle adjustments, I am going to outline for you right now. He was back on the golf course. He told me, and I remember his exact words, "I thought I had just gotten old. Turns out I had just gotten sick, and sickness can be fixed." If your energy, motivation, and vitality have been quietly fading over the past 6 to 12 months, and especially if that fading has coincided with any urinary changes, that is sign number 3. And your body is not asking you to accept it. It is asking you to act. So let us bring this together. 3 signs: an interrupted, weakened urinary stream, waking up more than once per night to urinate, and a quiet, persistent decline in energy and vitality that you have been writing off as aging. None of these are inevitable. None of these are permanent. And none of these require you to simply endure them and hope they do not get worse. You now understand the mechanism behind each one. You know that a growing prostate compresses the urethra and strains the bladder. You know that the same hormonal imbalance driving prostate growth is also stealing your energy and drive. And you know that the window between early warning signs and serious crises, that 12-month window, is the most important period of all. You are not a passive recipient of whatever your body decides to do. You are an informed man who now knows what to look for, what it means, and what is at stake. That knowledge is not small. That knowledge is everything. The men who catch this early are the men who keep their independence, their sleep, their vitality, and their quality of life for decades to come. You now have what you need to be one of those men. Here is what I am asking you to do right now before you close this video. First, save this video, bookmark it, because you may want to come back to it and share it with someone, a brother, a friend, a son who is approaching 50. The information in this video could genuinely change the trajectory of their health. Second, Share it with one man in your life who needs to hear this. Not with a long message. Just send it. Let the video speak. You might be the reason he catches something early enough to fix it easily. And third, in my next video, I am going to walk you through the 5 foods that research shows actively shrink an enlarged prostate, and the 3 foods that make it significantly worse. Foods that are sitting in most men's kitchens right now, quietly accelerating the very problem we talked about today. You do not want to miss that one. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And drop your age in the comments below, along with the word familiar if any of these 3 signs resonated with you today. I am Dr. Norris. I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. You have earned it.